Welcome back, everybody, for another round of Cats coverage on the Field of 68 network. We've got Michael, we've got Tim, full. All of us are here. I can't even get my words out. All of us are here for tonight to talk about the news of. Currently, it's Tuesday night. John Calipari is officially, but officially back. The reports are coming out that he's expected to be back after his and Mitch Barnhart's meeting tonight. Last night was his radio show. A lot came out of it. I was tuned in as ever, kind of all the way up to it, anxious as can be. Kind of like what's going to come out of this, and not a whole lot came out of it. Like I thought we were going to find out, close to it. There was a report that came out about 30 minutes before by I think Matt Norlander, who works for CBS Sports, saying that he is being told Cal is going to be brought back. They have it. Cal, the whole way through, Cal talks about it, and the way his dialogue kind of came off to me is like he was expecting to be back. I think it would have been an all timer if and I don't know, I know I listened to it. I'm not sure if y'all did. I didn't ask y'all, but the way he talked, it was all about what's next and next season. So much if Mitch Barnhart would have came out and today's like you're fired, it would have been such a shock. But he did not, and I'm kind of glad that we're not. I want to get into that kind of my feelings. My emotions have been so different over the last 4 or 5 days, up and down, still trying to figure it out. But we're expected to probably get an official announcement tomorrow by Mitch Barnhart. But it looks like Cal's back. Michael, Tim, how are y'all doing? And let's get your thoughts kind of on the unofficial but maybe official news of Cal being back.
Tim, you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, I don't care to. I didn't expect them to get fired then and there. I kind of figured they would make some tweaks to all the assistants and everything first before they fire the big dog. And it takes a while to find a good replacement. So unless they were for some reason in talks with somebody already, like instantly, like somebody reached out to them, like Jay Wright or something, and I really did not see Cal getting fired right away. But I was kind of thinking that with him coming back and everything, no official announcement has been made at all. But I mean, if he's off to a slow start or something, we're below a 500 team midway through the season. I don't know. You might see a early season exit for Cal. I don't know if they'll do like a mid-season firing on him or anything. I don't know. That's just kind of thought I had.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought, actually. I would imagine that they'll give him the opportunity to get out of the first weekend, which is why he's back. But I think it's good he's back. There's some balloons in this conference room. There's a blue balloon. Have a party. Be happy. Be happy that Cal is back. Because imagine if he did go, then that means you can also kiss Reed Shepherd's chance of coming back goodbye. And the other freshman, Adu, like who you really need back, because that guy could be a breakout junior player in college basketball maybe next year. Like that guy could be for real because he was good when Trey got hurt. And Cal went back to Trey when Trey came back, and Adu's minutes suffered, man. But Adu had multiple double digit games. That dude can be a dog next year because we know his body is there and we know his defense is there. His offense isn't quite there, but it could get there. Um, so you kiss him goodbye. I mean, the entire roster would be a disaster, and not even like that's before we even talk about the freshmen coming in, the recruits. Like they're not coming if Cal's not here. So it creates so many more problems to have him gone. If there were no good, if this incoming class wasn't good, if it was just a couple mid players, then maybe be a little bit easier. But you still have good guys coming in, mixed with the potential to have some good guys coming back, which is what Cal said on Thursday after the loss to Oakland, and it's what he said on the radio show. Like he likes the group, and I think it could be a good group. And I think that it's good that he is coming back and the group will be intact. It's just a matter of who, and we can get into those pieces and our predictions for all those here over this pod. But I think it's good. It's good he's back. I know BVM's got fiery emotions, and but at the end of the day, there's no one else on planet Earth who's a better recruiter than Cal. And there are some guys who could X's and O's be better than Cal, but in-game adjustments. We know that's not his strong suit, but there's not a lot out there. And the guys that you could get that could be both are pipe dreams. So you just got to stick with him one more year. But it's one more year. If he chokes, I mean, I know everyone says, "Oh, one more year, yada yada." No, like next year is clearly, obviously, one more year. Like if he can't get out the first week of next year, then that's like a mutual goodbye. Like Cal should fork over the 25 million that it would be for the buyout. Like he better walk away and say, "No, I'm washed." If he can't do it again next year, he's completely washed. He should fork over that money, and it should be a mutual goodbye at that point.
Yeah, I think kind of to hit off what both you said, a lot of it kind of, in my opinion, factors in. There wasn't a for sure lock of a candidate to replace him with. I mean, at Kentucky, you can't take chances. You've got to have someone that's a lock, and who's active right now. I didn't see a lock that would have been a for sure success. So a lot of what ifs, and I don't think that was just for sure. And I think Mitch Barnhart maybe just decided to stick with him. Then real quickly, you kind of think about you're going to have to rebuild a little bit. Yeah, this is Kentucky. We'll be back to how it was if Cal's gone one day. It might be quicker now with the portal, but you're immediately going to lose that recruiting class. At least the majority of them. Like you said, Reed would be gone. I mean, if there is a chance in the world that he came back, it would be for Cal and Kentucky. But like if Cal's gone, why would he want to come back with a new coach, etc.? DJ Wagner's rumors have him returning. I'm not for sure what I believe on that, but like none of those guys that have a chance to return that should go would if Cal's out. So a lot of things to take place there. It would be, I think right now I feel comfortable with we would have a lot more problems at hand if Cal was gone. Right now we had a whole offseason of rebuilding this summer and more things to deal with rather than right now. Really, it's just who you're going to return on this team, and who you're going to get from the portal to pair with the incoming freshman, and trying to buy your fans back over. That's kind of where we're at now. It could be a lot worse. The fire could be huge. Just a small little fire right now, kind of in my opinion. But we can get more into that. Next we do have to hit an ad break, but right after that we'll kind of discuss how we, are we okay with Cal being back? Our thoughts after the Oakland game. We'll get all of that. We got a lot to talk about. It's gonna be a fun pod, but we've got to hit this ad break real fast.
The best month of the year is here, which is why you need to know that we are now partnered with BetMGM. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 all through the NCAA tournament. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can use the bonus code FIELD, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM, regardless of whether or not that bet hits. Here's the best part. All you need to do is deposit and bet $10 of your hard-earned money. This is how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you get up to $1,500 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your bet. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Most importantly, we do have some fun stuff coming for the conference tournaments and especially for the NCAA tournament. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boosts, and what I love the most, a nice parlay boost for anything you could possibly imagine betting on in the NCAA tournament, from odds and getting an at-large bid to Final Four futures to the highest seed to make to the Sweet 16. I'm calling it right now. BetMGM is the king of the prop bet for your March Madness needs. So go download the BetMGM app, use the code FIELD, and sign up today. And while I've got you, a quick request: the best way to support the Field of 68 and our content you get for free is to engage with us. Rate and review the pod, like and share the YouTube videos, tell your friends about us. It helps in a world where the algorithm is king. And now, back to the show.
All right, we survived the ad break. Thanks for everyone who stuck around. Sorry we had to hit that so quick, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Well, kind of what we were just talking about is, my big thing was there was no for sure replacement. And a big thing that I've been kind of thinking about these last days is while being put out of the first round is no excuse and not acceptable here, I keep hitting the point of that, like the floor with Cal, in my opinion, is so high. Like, this is a mass failure at Kentucky is getting exit in the first round when other teams just try to make make the NCAA tournament every few years. And that's not Kentucky standards, but like that's always a comfort there. Like our floor with Cal is going to get all the spotlight, going to get top 3 recruiting class, and likely make the tournament every year and see what happens. So that's a good feeling. Michael, I did want to ask you all and kind of think would kind of get your opinions on this. if there was a replacement coach, did you have someone in mind that you kind of would have made? If you were Mitch Barnhart, you probably would have called today.
Yeah, I was kind of curious what your guys' top name would be each you. Like if you had to replace him, who would you pick? Because obviously, like Jay Wright and
I already know.
Oates and all these names, but I was thinking Brad Stevens, who's very comfy in the Boston Celtics front office. So you would have to wait until June for the NBA Finals to be done. But if you just threw him the bag, man, like that guy obviously was a heck of a coach, leading Butler at such a young age, and he's still so young. Like you give him a bag, whew, like that would be kind of crazy. But I don't know. I think it's good that Cal's back, but Brad Stevens was the name to me. I was like, man, like that would be a splash. Bring him back to the college game. That would be a fantastic hire, but I doubt he would. He doesn't really want to leave the NBA, and he's pretty comfy in the front office.
It's been a while since he's been in the game in college basketball. It's a different world now. He's gonna have to adjust as well.
He's young. He's young. He's
That's
like
the probably the pro.
20 years younger than Cal.
That's probably the pro. You don't have to get another or 60-year-old guy. Cal's what, almost 70, and it seems like all these guys are getting old nowadays. But I'll tell you who my first call would have been, and I don't care if anyone listening disagrees. That's okay. We don't. Thankfully, we're not in that position. But this is who I would have picked, and this would have not happened. Like the logistics of it wouldn't have ever happened. But it's who my dream would have been. Bruce Pearl. I'm sorry. He's rolling. He's got things rolling in Auburn, man, and they love him. And that was part of the thing when we were down there in Auburn. We were at this restaurant, and this lady has got like 7 of these restaurants. She's a big donor, at least that's what she says, to Auburn. And she says she kind of knew what she was talking about when she said this. She's like, he's retiring in 4 or 5 years. He's gonna retire here. They love him here. He's a saint here. He'll never leave Auburn. So like, he's not coming to Kentucky. Is how I kind of got put to me. We can dream all we want. But man, that's who my first call would have been. I'm just saying that's me. Tim, what do you agree? Who do you got? You got someone else?
Pearl would have been. I mean, he's a good personality. He's a real nice guy and everything. I was thinking Jay Wright until Michael said Brad Stevens. I think that I would love Brad Stevens here. Excellent college coach, excellent NBA coach. I would love to get him under our belt.
Yeah, yeah. I think all 3 of those names are good. Part of me likes Nate Oates, but he needs to do a little bit more. I just like more of his personality. Kind of gotten to see him when he came to Rupp. I liked how professional he and straight to business he was. Felt like he wouldn't shy away from the spotlight. That's a stretch. Like that's probably my last option of my first 3 that I call, but like just a small kind of short list.
Well, what I would say with Oates is he did handle last season's troubles very well. Brandon Miller, like that was a very strange situation. And like whether he should or should not have even been playing college basketball at that time with the court case going on, and for that to not be a distraction, they still won the SEC tournament, right? I think last year. So they got a 1 seed, no, or a high seed.
I
They at
want to
least
say
won.
they won.
At least.
Yeah, and then I think they had an early exit, but he handled that pretty well, which makes me think like the guy's a real smart guy. You know, he could handle, a big job like Kentucky, but I don't know if I think he's pretty comfortable there and he's still dancing, so he's chilling right now.
Yeah. But thankfully we don't have to pick a new coach. And while it's relevant right now, I do want to kind of hit on this real quick. We had a lot to say the other night when we were recording the podcast, but we didn't get into it. We kind of just really recapped Oakland. But I really wanted to kind of break in our thoughts. Take yourself back 24 hours, 48 hours ago when it kind of seemed like online, like no one wanted Cal back. It kind of felt like for once he was truly, truly on the hot seat, like that he may not be here again. I want to kind of get into our feelings about that and kind of talk about what you kind of were going through. And I know for me, Michael, it might be just a little bit different from you. You said you're not, not really a Kentucky fan. You just cover him and you're from Michigan. But like for me and Tim, we grew up here, and I'm 25, almost 26. Tim, how old are you now?
I'm 25, about to go on
Same,
26.
same age. So like, man, to be honest with you, we've grown up with Cal. And no, I think I was actually in 6th grade when Cal got here. So when I really started paying attention is when he got here. And I know about the history before, but like I've not covered and truly kept up with Kentucky out, actively when Cal, before Cal got here. So like, yeah, when his time will come one day when he needs to leave and every great thing comes to an end and that stuff will happen and you have to deal with it when it happens, like I will, and then you have to come to terms. But like for when it truly started becoming real, I was kind of, getting my feels for it. Like, yeah, what he's doing here has not been acceptable these last few years, but like, man, I things are gonna, Kentucky was Kentucky before Cal, but in my lifetime and following it, I've not ever experienced that, and the change is hard for a human. Change has always been hard for something I've dealt with growing up through life, and to see kind of when it was really hitting me that Cal might be gone, if this was just right after the St. Peter's game or something like that, I would have been like real emotional. But I have kind of gotten burnt out these last few years, and I was kind of really honestly ready for a breath of fresh air, ready for something new. I just thought Cal was washed up, and I just thought he's past the games leaving him by, and I really truly at my core thought it's probably time to part ways. But I was sad. That's the point I'm getting to. I was really sad. It felt like a breakup. I'm sure we've all had relationship breakups. Maybe the relationship's toxic and you need to break up, but it hurts. Like you're gonna miss that person. They're gonna go out. And the idea that John Calipari could go coach at another school, that was like the worst thing that could come in my mind. Like I wanted him to retire and do something else, but to see him at, he was. What if he went to Michigan? What if he went to, it's a stretch, but Vandy, his Brad's there, his daughter goes to school, they've got a house down there, Nashville, like the idea that he could have coached at another school, I wanted no part of that. That's like seeing your girlfriend go with another guy, right? When you know what I'm saying? Like that, I didn't want any part of that. Kind of to pass it off to you, Michael. What's you're more of an outsider than we are. We grew up here. What were your thoughts kind of over this weekend? Did it really kind of hit you hard? Like I don't know, I was kind of down in the dumps a little bit.
Yeah, I was telling you guys that I think that you should keep him. I think he's still John Calipari, and but he got outcoached by Horizon League coach. So if he's not going to be the in-game X's and O's guy that you need him to be, then you need somebody on your staff that is going to be that way. And if Cal's just going to be the face of the program and go recruit and build these incredible rosters, then he can do that. And you need a staff that can handle everything else that it takes to go win a national championship. So I think like Welch came in and was good. Like, he has this background in the NBA with shooters, and like you saw some guys get better shooting the basketball, Justin Edwards specifically. DJ had his stretches where like he finally started shooting, hitting some threes. And obviously Rob and Reed, were lethal, and Antonio was already fine shooting before, but you saw some guys get better shooting the basketball. So that's a keep, and Chuck Martin's also a keep. Both of those guys, I think, came in on 2-year deals this year, so they have another year. I think Orlando Antigua and Bruiser Flint, I think their contracts are both up here at the end of June. I think I saw that in Ben Roberts' piece on the Herald Leader, I think. So those guys, Cal's got a decision to make with his staff, because if you're not going to go, like, some kind of changes have to be made. And he said on his radio show that he's going to evaluate everything, whether it be the people around him or the way he does things. The people around him, meaning the staff, right? So, Orlando is known as a great recruiter. He's recruiting Malachi Moreno pretty heavy at Great Crossing, 4-star big man in 2025. Like, he's a good recruiter. Bruiser has been with him since UMass. So, it's hard to think that he would fire either of those guys. But if their deals are up, do you give them a new deal? I don't know. I mean, they've recruited so well, but they're not winning in March. They're not doing what they really need to be doing. So who takes the blame, and does anyone take enough blame to where there needs to be a big change to the staff? Chin Coleman has one more year. Do you fire him? I guess they're saying he's supposed to be the defensive guy, and they were terrible on defense this year. So, I don't know enough about what each of them do, each of their responsibilities, and if they're good coaches or not. Like, all I know is that it seemed like they all have good bonds with each other, and Cal likes them. Cal sometimes yells at them on the sideline when I'm shooting games and they're like getting up. He's like, sit down, or just like yells at them, tells them to shut up or whatever. But any coach is going to do that for an assistant. That's getting too much. But I don't know. I like those guys. I've interviewed them. I like Chuck a lot. I've talked to him a lot this season, just in the hallways and before games and stuff. So I like Chuck, and seems like everyone likes Welch. So, but those three other guys, they've been with Cal a while, and I just I don't want to say that they should be fired or anything, but maybe there should be a change there. And then Ulis is just grad assistant. He can stay obviously, but you want to keep Ulis for sure. He's his especially his recent experience playing under Cal. You could tell he talks to the guards a lot. They respect him, so you got to keep him. But I think maybe the off season and just Cal coming back, I think it might ease the fan base, the portion of the fan base that doesn't like Cal and wants him gone, if you make some changes to your staff and say, maybe this will help solve things. That's an old trick, and that the pros do all the time. A NFL head coach, if he's not going to get fired, then he's got to fire his offensive coordinator if they're not scoring points, right? So that's just how sports go. So maybe he makes a change there. We'll see.
Michael, from what I've heard, I would bet the house that Bruiser Flint's not here past the summer. That's all I'm saying. Yes, I don't see the value he brings on this team. Tim, we've got to get your thoughts. How are you feeling this weekend? The Cal era over. Growing up with this guy, let's hear it. How did you take this weekend?
I, I didn't even sit there and think about him being on another team until you said that, because that just seems completely impossible in my mind. But, right after the loss and a few hours after, I was kind of saying to myself, like, as they say nowadays, it's kind of like he's in this Shaq Celtics era or Tony Parker Hornets era, kind of just washed and out of the game. But um, I completely agree with what Michael was saying. If they don't make a change to the head coach, there's definitely going to be some changes done to the assistants. And another hypothetical I kind of just thought about during this meeting is, if it's a mutual agreement that Mitch and Cal came upon on this meeting they had today, that this would be their last year. I mean, they could possibly even look to an assistant that they would like to become the next head coach following the uh, departure from Cal, whether it be for a year or two. I have absolutely zero idea on who they would even reach out to become assistants or anything at all. But that was just kind of something that I randomly thought of.
Yeah, I also don't see any assistant on this staff being promoted to head coach. I don't think any assistant they'd bring in would be promoted to head coach. I think if Cal goes, then they need to make a big time hire, and that will not be on the staff at any point. So, they would have to really go out there and get somebody. So, I think the assistants know that. I think they just want to stay with Cal, and it's fun to coach here, right? I mean, it's fun to be at Kentucky. It's one of the top jobs in America. So they all want to stay, I'm sure. I haven't heard anything on that front. So that seems like it might be maybe something that Cal and Mitch Barnhart talked about today in their meeting. Cal said last night on the radio show that they were going to have a meeting probably today, if not later in the week. So they had it, I guess, and decided per reports that Cal is for sure coming back. So maybe whatever else was said in that meeting, I'd be fascinated. Like if I could just be on the fly on the wall and listen to that, I mean, oh God, I'd pay money just to listen to that, because I'm sure Mitch, tore him a new one a little bit, but you know, also made it clear he wants him back. He wants to make this right. And John said, yeah, in the radio show, he looks forward to hearing Mitch's thoughts. I doubt he actually looked forward to hearing Mitch's thoughts, but he said that, and so they're trying to make this cordial, which is good because we've heard that it hasn't been in the past recently. So they'll figure it out, but the details will come. Um, I think there has to be at least a change. I mean, something on the staff. I don't envision the exact same staff being back, but we'll see. All the question marks on the players, what this
Yeah.
roster is going to look like.
Um,
Yeah.
I just want to add one more thing as far as like the whole assistant and head coach thing. Was the only reason I kind of brought that up wasn't Duke's current head coach like a former assistant
Yeah.
and then brought up to head coach? So I don't know if they might like see success in that, want to try it themselves possibly. I have no idea. I know, it's Kentucky. You got to get a big name hire. You're looking for somebody to have that kind of swag. So it's hard to say.
You see, I think when you think about the Kentucky tree, like it, or I guess were y'all talking more of like the coaching staff now, or just someone that has ties to Kentucky coming the next coach? Like, which one did y'all kind of mean on that? Is it
What is it?
I was saying, I thought Tim was saying like go get an assistant and have him like be the successor basically,
Yeah,
which I don't see unless it's like somebody that they feel pretty confident in. I mean, Duke felt pretty confident in John Shire.
yeah.
But like Hubert Davis was he on the staff? Maybe he was for Roy Williams.
think he was.
Maybe he was. And
He
some
was at some point for like years and years. I
yeah,
think there would have been a little gap. I'm not for sure if there was a gap, but he was an assistant coach for years.
yeah, and then he went to do TV, and then he might have came back, and it might have been the successor. I can't remember, but I feel like if you're Kentucky, you got to make a splash when you hire Cal. But that's for another day. As of now, it's for another day. Cal is coming back, and hopefully next year isn't his last year either. If he goes and makes the Final Four, then you're right back where you want to be. And then build this thing, try to win another national championship.
Yeah, and I think the point that we just hit on, it's got to be a splash. And there wasn't a definite answer. And again, I think with Cal, the floor is to make the tournament, and you got to do something there. But like you get another coach, he needs to make the tournament this year. He needs to win X amount of games. Like you can almost guarantee we're going to be sitting in, get our selection Sunday going somewhere next year, no matter how bad things, the low moments throughout the year. But anyways, thankfully, Cal's the coach now. We can continue on and look forward. And the first thing that the second thing that Cal hit on in his radio show after kind of saying how much he loves it here and loves this job, and this is all he's ever wanted, this spotlight. He said the next thing he's got to do on his offseason list is to sit with these players and see what's going on. He said he's got individual meetings set up this week. You can kind of think of who he's going to be talking to first. You got to think guaranteed to have talks is going to probably be Rob Dillingham, Reed Shepard, DJ Wagner, Justin Edwards. Your goodbyes to Antonio Reeves and Trey Mitchell. We already know they're for sure gone. But I think those first four that I listed are going to be the first for sure guys that are likely to go, could come back. Let's start off with those four guys. We got Reed Shepard, Dillingham, Justin Edwards, and DJ Wagner. How many of those four are for sure gone? What would y'all say out of those for sure gone? I'm going with for sure. I'm going a lot too. Yeah, two. And in my opinion, Rob Dillingham and I think Justin Edwards, right? I would have said DJ Wagner, but there's some buzz about him coming back, and I don't think he's coming back. But like right now, I think Justin Edwards is going to take that Chris Livingston path, like we have talked about before. He's going to get with the right agent. The potential is going to still get his draft pick despite what he's done here, and he did a lot better here than Chris Livingston based on stats. But what would y'all, Michael? You said two. Tim, how many of those four would you say are for sure gone?
Uh, yeah, I would say two as well. I'm kind of 50-50 on DJ if he's gone for sure or not, but I feel like there's a good chance Reed comes back. I think there's a higher chance that he comes back rather than he goes pro, personally speaking.
Really?
I think so. I kind of feel like, his parents' legacy, wanting to pursue, and I mean, NIL, it's there's so many factors that go into it, but I kind of just got a gut feeling that he's going to be back with Kentucky next year.
Yeah, you would think that his legacy means so much to him. it really doesn't mean a lot to the other guys. They want to go pro and they came here to go pro. Reed came here to play for Kentucky, and his dad won 2 national championships in 3 years here. So for you to then score 3 points in your only tournament game and you're bounced, like that just doesn't sit right, and I think his parents will have a big influence on his decision. Um, Cal's just going to be like, hey, look, you could come back or you can go. If you go, you're going to be probably still a lottery pick. You'll be in good shape. You're not going to play a lot first year, probably G League a little bit. Develop your body more, develop your on ball defense more, but um, the way you can shoot the ball, you'll be fine. But if you come back, you'll be a legend. You'll be bigger than Oscar. When Oscar came back, he came back to be the legend. The hero. Everybody loves him. The fan favorite. And obviously, he didn't win that second year. But if he did, he would have been a legend and got a statue. And um, I think that's what Reed has for him, which I think is appealing to him. So I think it'll really come down to his parents. Like if they support him leaving, um, which they will. But if they support him enough to where they're telling him like you gotta go, then he'll go. If they say, look, you could fix. They won't say fix your legacy, but you could fix your legacy with another year here. Fix the family name a little bit. That might be appealing to Reed, and I think it's. I think there's a good shot. I mean, it's hard to see a guy turn down being a top 10 pick. Reed was 7th in the ESPN mock draft yesterday. Rob was 3rd. So that'll be interesting. Justin was 30th. Justin's gone for sure. I think that's all but certain. And then DJ was 46th. Ugana was 45th. Those were the guys selected. So in the mock draft. So I would probably lean towards DJ leaving because he's got if Reed comes back and Boogie is coming in, Boogie Fland, and it's got Billy Richmond, who's kind of a combo guard. DJ would benefit a second year with improving his shooting percentages. He only shot 29% from three, 77 from the line. That's not good as an undersized guard in the NBA. NBA is not really going to love you if you're like that. But I'd probably lean towards him not being on the roster next season. But that'll be interesting. But I think there's a good shot. Reed comes back, and Rob and Justin are both for sure gone, and then I think Ugana is gone for sure. I think that the three bigs is definitely a separate conversation because they're funky. Aaron and Z, those are very funky situations with really it's hard to have a rock solid prediction there.
Michael, can I hit on your Reed point real quick? I had a thought that when you were talking about Reed, it's a unique situation. It really is. Like, what other top 10 projected pick ever would you think had a chance to come back? Like, they're all gone every year, but Reed is different. Yeah, I loved your point that you said where he came to play for Kentucky, and he did. Cal had a little influence, but like the majority, 80%, I would just off the top of my head, yeah, Kentucky means something to Reed Shepherd. We all know that. These other guys, like you just said, it's Cal, it's the brand of Kentucky, but like they don't care about, the Kentucky Louisville rivalry, and like they're here to get pro. Cal gets them to the pro. Kentucky's a spotlight, but Reed has always dreamed of playing for Kentucky. Like this means something, and it's kind of funny to think about. Like he is that top 10 projected draft pick that like there you could see like there's some reasoning on why the guy would come back one day, this summer. But I did also want to say I did notice last summer when we were interviewing him and he got to school and media day to start the year off. One of the questions I asked him, I was like, "What's you came to Kentucky? What's your parents telling you about being here and what to expect?" And to be honest with you, he looked me right in my eyes and said, "Outside of like how to be prepared for the spotlight and the autographs and all that stuff that comes with this. He said they're letting me do my own thing. He's they're not. He's letting Cal coach me. He's not being on me after practices. He's like, we talk on the phone every day, me, mom, and dad back at home, but like it's not even relating to basketball. And I'm assuming that's went throughout the whole year. That your baby boy goes off to school and you let Calipari coach him and no longer being that sideline coach because and I coached fifth grade girls basketball. It doesn't even compare, but like there's nothing more annoying when the parents are out there trying to coach their kid. And we've been in practice with them all year long. Like you've got it. I think Reed Shepard's parents have done that. I think they've let him come to school and be coached by Cal and take the backseat and just enjoy it as parents. So in my opinion, kind of what we were going off of, I don't think that. I mean, they're gonna talk to him about the NBA draft and then probably more of the money kind of deal, what you can make and blah blah. But like, my uneducated opinion on it is that I think they're gonna let Reed make that decision on his own, and I really don't think his
As
parents are
they
gonna put.
should.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they've had their moments, and it's his moment to decide what he wants. But like, it's very kind of cool, man. Think about like no other world where a top 10 projected draft pick has any thought about coming back, but there's a chance, man. There's a chance, and I think that would be when Oscar came back when that summer when he's like I'm coming back for another year. Oh my gosh, it was like the feeling after a buzzer beater. Like things would be for that day rolling in this fan base if Reed Shepard just decided to come back.
Oh, would it be at a 10 times what an Oscar was? Because people like Oscar, they are in love with Reed Shepard, and it could really make next year's team really something special. I mean, but then you wonder, DJ. So do DJ and Reed start? Reed would have to start, but you'd think Boogie's going to start with Reed, and then Adu, and then you got Clayton's, who's the 5-star, and then Big Z maybe, or I think Aaron's probably going to go. You'll have Santos Cyril coming off the bench, Billy Richmond coming off the bench, probably. So I would think Aaron's probably going to hit the portal because he cannot go to the league. The only way he stays is if DJ stays. Those two are buddies, obviously, former teammates and Camden boys. So maybe they both stay together, but I still don't see how you can't have all three of the bigs come back. Um,
Aaron's going to be interesting, man. I think his will
yeah.
be interesting.
I
Could
don't
you?
see him coming back if Ugo and Z are both back. Like Aaron got benched. He was the third big coming in the game. So I don't see him coming back to that. But maybe. I mean, he had some moments where he tried to break through, but I just don't. I don't think all three bigs are on the roster next season. So I would predict that Ugana would go pro if he can be picked in the second round. He's not going to get higher than that. So he's got to utilize his age here at just 19 and go ahead and get picked. And then Z probably comes back, and then Aaron maybe hits the portal if DJ goes pro too.
That's a good point.
That's probably my prediction. I do got to bounce. I got to get ready to anchor sports tonight. So I'll leave you guys to it.
Michael, we
All right.
appreciate you.
See you,
We'll
Michael.
do one again. Talking about more player stuff probably next couple weeks when some of these guys start making their decisions.
Yeah, got a long summer, man. We gotta have a lot. It's like this sport never dies now. So we'll have, I might envision that a lot of this would kind of slow off a little bit. I bet you it don't. I bet you we have more pods than we think this summer.
Yeah. All right, I'll see you guys.
All right,
See you,
see you,
Michael.
Michael.
All right, you all just saw we just lost Michael. He had to go do live TV, doing the big boy stuff as I always call it. But anyways, we were kind of hitting on our roster prediction and kind of more of like people who think is going to leave and stay and kind of looking at it right now, just kind of going to the roster. Tim, stop me if you disagree. Just let me know what you think. Rob Dillingham's for sure gone, right? Are we kind of on the same page with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Dillingham's gone. We kind of mentioned Justin Edwards. I think he's gone. What did you say on Justin Edwards?
I agree that he's gone. I've always kind of thought that he would be gone no matter the outcome of the season. Like you said, I always kind of thought it'd be a Chris Livingston kind of situation where he'd find a good agency or a good agent and get picked up late in the draft.
I do too. I do too. And he played a lot better here than Chris Livingston, and
Oh yeah.
Livingston got drafted. People don't realize this. Chris Livingston averaged 6 points a game here. I remember when he got drafted. I'm like, I've got to know this man did nothing here. Justin Edwards is double digits, and the first quarter of the season didn't do a whole lot. So I think towards the second half, averaging 12, 14 points a game, something like that. We talked about Aaron Bradshaw. I thought Michael made a good point. Could you imagine last summer if we were sitting here 12 months from now, we're thinking that Aaron Bradshaw is going to hit the portal. What happened?
I know,
Uh,
like we were so excited to, he was injured at the beginning of the season. We were so excited to have him back and everything. And once he started doing shoot around, it's like, oh, we're getting closer to Aaron Bradshaw. He hasn't played this whole season. He could be our best prospect. That is crazy to think about.
Shame. Yeah, it seems like every year there's something like that, and I think he's that next guy. Well, the thing is, looking at the big man like we were just talking about, I think if Ugo is being projected to get drafted just really far down the line, like way down the line. And I kind of Michael was talking about it, and I agreed with a little point that he said there. If I'm Ugo, he's never been projected drafted until recently, these last few months. Like, go, in my opinion, unless he comes back and has a crazy next year, which I'm not banking on, um, go get drafted now. I would if I'm him. The year before he averaged like 2 points a game. Like, go get your second late round draft pick, a contract on a practice squad, summer league kind of deal. I think if I'm Ugo, I go take my money right now.
I agree with that. I will say I'm pretty surprised to see that he's in the mock drafts and Big Z's not. Just or Bradshaw.
I think it's his physicality.
Yeah, probably. It's just, them being so young, them just being basically raw prospects, you would think their names would be in the draft somewhere.
Yeah, I think maybe potential of he's physical. He can block shots, protect the rim. He's not just 7 foot and 100 pounds, skin and bones. Like, he's the beefy guy on those 3 7-footers. And I think maybe just size is his potential. Who
Yeah,
knows?
he did break the Rupp or tie the Rupp block record that David Robinson said, so who knows?
Do the arrow. Um, I think today is what, March 26th. Today I'm saying Udo the arrow tries it, has these, flirts with these NBA teams, goes and gets talks with them, has some workouts with them, things like that, and comes back for a huge junior year. I had to look up. I couldn't remember if he was a junior this year or not. I think Adubio comes back for a major junior year where he's like flirting with all SEC kind of deal. Do you think he's gone? What do you think happens with the do?
No, I fully agree. I almost want every player we have to go and kind of try out the NBA water so they can learn, uh, ways that areas they need to improve on from NBA scouts and NBA coaches and have these workouts. So I would love for a dude to do that and come back. And he's I mean such a versatile player. I mean we could easily pair him up with whoever we have at the five, put him at the four. I mean that's where I thought he flourished was at the four.
Yeah. Kind of rounding it out here. Trey Mitchell's gone, graduated.
Yep.
Antonio Reeves, they're both out of eligibility. Um, we talked about Reed Shepard, DJ Wagner. We talked about him. Jordan Burks, I think he's hitting the portal. I
I
just think he's
agree.
somewhere else.
I agree. Especially how he averaged 30 points in the OTE league. Uh, he was a pretty big name coming into Kentucky, thinking he would have a pretty good role. I think he's probably going to go somewhere else and be one of the top role players
Yeah,
or star players there.
What about Walker Horn? What's he gonna do? Is he going to the draft?
Uh, I don't know, man. I don't
Uh,
know. But
nah,
what year is he?
yeah, he's coming back for another year of being a walk on. He's a sophomore now, so big junior
Okay.
year from Walker Horn. A
Oh
lot of
yeah.
class be getting in.
Oh yeah. I
Nah,
hope he gets a three in.
yeah, exactly. He seems like a cool guy. Just from what I've seen him on the sidelines, he seems like a good personality.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Lastly, kind of the guys that actually have consideration. Big Z. I'm gonna let you go first. What do you think happens to Big Z this summer? Does he come back?
He won't transfer, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's hard to say because he was on the draft boards before he even came to Kentucky. He was projected to go this draft. So it's a little hard to say because, with his professional background, or I guess it's professional that he had over in Europe. So with his professional background, and then he showed pretty great potential here at Kentucky. I'm leaning towards him going towards the draft. I would love to see him back here, but he's definitely going to test the waters without a doubt.
Yeah, my opinion on Z is I I think he's gonna be projected maybe middle of the second round, somewhere flirting up in there, range in that area. And I think if he hears good, I think he's gonna be the one that we got to hear what he hears from the NBA. I think if he hears good things, he goes. Maybe gets early second round, maybe late first round. I don't expect that. If he doesn't get what he hears, I think he either returns or goes back home and tries something out that route. But I'm right there with you. I think the last option, which I don't see even having a chance, is going to another school, transferring to the portal. I don't see that at all. I think that he hopefully hears something good and takes that chance, gets, that first contract. Or I think second I'd put come back to Kentucky and bank on maybe a big second year. I think the third option, go back home and try the professional route that way. And I don't know what any of that looks like, but try to work your way back into going make it to the NBA one day or G League, something like that.
Yeah.
But kind of that wraps out the roster. Um, kind of wrap this one out for the night. We've got about a minute or so left on here. I'm happy that I, I'm happy that Cal's back. I feel a little bit relieved and a lot less stressed. I was on the side that well, let's see what our options are. I think it might be a time for a change. But when the options didn't look very well, there was a lot that played in his buyouts. The rebuild kind of go headfirst into that. That's a lot to take on. And now that it's official, here's my thing that I've been saying. There's nothing we can do now. He's here for the next 12 months. That season's over. We're not going to forget about it, but we can't keep hitting on Oakland all summer. It happened. We've already soaked it all in. On to next year. Let's start looking for next year. Put all the emphasis on this year, and we can talk about all the criticism that will be valid for this year, and we can harp on it as much as we want as each thing happens throughout the year. But let's look forward. We've got year 16 of John Calipari. Let's support them, support this team because these players coming in deserve that. Um, and let's root for put it all the pressure on this year, and hopefully he does something with it. Tim,
Yeah.
what are your last words as we close this thing out?
You all may not be Cal fans, but you're Kentucky fans. Just like you said, cheer on these kids, give them that Kentucky experience, and it might be his last year, so enjoy it while you can.
I think it likely will. Even imagine if he goes out hits a Final Four. Why would you not bounce after that? Like this, very likely either way is going to be his last year, in my opinion. But we're Kentucky fans, like you said. Kentucky will be Kentucky before him and after him, so we'll have to live with what happens this season.
Yeah.
Tim, have a good night, man. Thank you for being here, and guys.